Hello there. Welcome back to the booth here at Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. That's Randy Buehler. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. You heard it from Rich. We've got in our feature match area Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa and Shaun McLaren. Let's get down there for round number 2 here from Milwaukee. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we're ready for round number 2 here of our first booster draft of the day. And you get a look at Shaun McLaren of Canada. Looking good with that short haircut. Normally he has kind of the flowing mane thing going, and here's his opponent, Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa of Brazil. And they are ready to go, and we are underway here. Now, I want to remind you, this is the booster draft, and let's take a look at what Paulo's up to here. What kind of deck are we looking at?
Paulo's actually 4-color.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the red splash is...
Converge-y here?
Yeah, well, the red splash is for Radiant Flames.
Okay.
So there you get a little bit of Converge. He's got some big boys in the deck, too. Oblivion Sower, Ruin Processor, and Bane of Balaged.
Here's a Seek the Wilds now for Paulo.
Yeah, so he's definitely trying to ramp up into Eldrazi.
He's going to take a Swamp, and that's going to help him cast that Grip of Desolation in his hand. You know, that card is... that's got to be one of the best cards in the set right there.
Grip of Desolation, I believe it is the consensus best uncommon. Number one uncommon.
Do you know what else is that uncommon in this set?
Rolling Thunder's that uncommon in this
Thunders.
set. There are people who don't think Rolling Thunder is the best red uncommon. I mean, I think they're
Vile
wrong,
Aggregate?
and I think that the majority will pick Rolling Thunder, but yes, Vile Aggregate is in contention. And Shaun, I bring this up because Shaun McLaren has 2 of them in his black-red deck.
Which of them?
2 Vile Aggregates.
Oh, wow.
And a Turn Against, which, I mean, when the first set first came out, I thought would be one of the top uncommons. Yeah, Vile Aggregate is great. I mean, the black-red deck, it wants to be a Devoid deck, and Devoid is almost like a tribal word. It's almost like an Elf deck or a Goblin deck. You just get all the Devoid decks, and then you get paid off the more of them you have, and here you go. Here's one of the best ways.
Yeah, it's
Trample
funny. There's
and
no
Ingest.
flavor text on that.
Yeah, that's just ability, 4 abilities on this uncommon.
Yeah.
Star 5 for just 3 mana. If you get your hands on one of these, just go draft all the Devoid cards you can come up with.
Now, a nice
gets
aggressive
huge.
start here, by the way, for Shaun McLaren, who is going to look to capitalize on what's probably a slower deck from Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa, and he's got an Akum Stonewaker right into a Nettle Drone. So a nice little start here for Shaun on his beatdown path. I see that Paulo...
Another Stonewaker in hand.
Yeah, I see that Paulo already has a second Swamp for...
Paulo uses a complete disregard on that Stonewaker, and Shaun's got another one in his hand. They do not stack well. You can't really afford to make 2 guys very often.
Yeah,
so.
I think Shaun's going to be kind of happy. I think that's like not a bad result for him.
I agree.
Especially because he probably wasn't going to start making 3/1s yet anyway. He's going to get in with Nettle Drone, knock PV down to 15.
And
Replacement Stonewaker.
The one problem the Akum Stonewaker has is that it's not colorless.
Right.
So it does not untap the Nettle Drone. Does not trigger the Molten Nursery that Shaun's running. Or pump up the Vile Aggregate.
There's a Blighted Woodland for Paulo, and that is going to set up future turns here. It's pretty likely, I think, if you're sitting in Shaun McLaren's seat, that that's what Paulo's plan is for his turn. Though there are instant speed things he can have here, too. In the meantime, Shaun's going to rumble for 3 more. And, man, that Nettle Drone's already got in for 6. And we may be bumping it up to 7 here, depending on what he plays from his hand, excuse me.
Yeah, that was tap for a point of damage. Because Duskstalker's got haste.
Jeez.
So, yeah. Tap for a point of damage, untap it, now attack for 3, along with this 5-power haste guy.
Well, he did get it to 7, potentially here. Wow, what a huge hit. Paulo says, yeah, come at me, but he cannot be happy about this. And like we mentioned a minute ago, the Blighted Woodland is the turn here for Paulo as he's going to finish out the rest of his colors. But he's going to need to find that Radiant Flames pretty quickly. Does he have it in his hand?
Yeah, it's in his hand. It's in his hand.
That's a good place for it to be.
It is. This black-red aggro deck, the way Shaun's got it, this is my favorite deck in the format. It just hits so hard, and there's so many people that are kind of, they're trying to build up to Eldrazi. They're doing all these cute things. You just, beat them upside the head.
I like doing cute things.
Well, I don't like getting all my creatures killed by Radiant Flames after I've got them down to 4, though.
That was a little less cute from Shaun McLaren's side. He's going to need to find 4 more damage out of his deck as he gets his board wiped away by Radiant Flames.
Oh, he's holding turn against? That'll get through some surprise damage.
Probably just game, right? Like, if Paulo plays a creature, oops.
Well, he doesn't have 5 mana yet. Shaun's big problem here is actually he can't play his Channeler, and he won't be able to play the turn against either until he draws a land.
It does feel like that gives him some inevitability here.
Yeah.
Paulo is going to play a Grave Birthing here to draw a card, get a card into exile, and make an Eldrazi spawn. Excuse me, Eldrazi Scion token.
Shaun McLaren trying to make a Pro Tour top 8 for the 3rd season in a row. He just came out of nowhere in that Modern Pro Tour that he won, but has been at the top tables of all the events I've seen him at since, it seems like. Great. Only goes to a handful of Grand Prix, but it's usually has been in a couple top 8s. Top 8 of the first Pro Tour of last season. And you know what? The Jeskai colors are all right in this standard, too. Just saying.
He is partial to those colors. All right, so Paulo's going to play a Mindraker and get a card out of hand for Shaun. See if he gets something good. It's going to be a spell.
Yeah, it's going to be a spell.
Sorry.
He's got a 5-mana spell, a 5. It's going to be a 5-mana spell, in fact. Shaun's hand is.
What is it?
3 5-mana spells.
Demon's Grasp and a turn against, and then the Channeler. Right. Okay. Guess he gets rid of Demon's Grasp.
Yeah, that was
here.
my pick too.
Yeah.
I'm on Demon's Grasp.
I mean, he's trying to get Paulo dead. The Channeler's a lethal threat on its own.
Yeah, 4/4.
And the turn against is a way to just steal the game out of nowhere.
It's got to be Demon's Grasp, right?
I think so. Yeah, that's what he chooses.
Not a land.
This is a super sweet little sequence down the stretch here. Remember, Paulo has Grip of Desolation in his hand here, too. All right, it was a Vestige of Emrakul off the top for Shaun McLaren. And that's a nice little threat.
Paulo's Grip of Desolation is going to randomly kill a land? That's what you're telling me?
It absolutely could. Also, it could break up a potential game-winning play with a turn against, just using it, even on Shaun McLaren's turn to steal a blocker and turn it into an attacker
that's
for him.
6 mana.
All right, well, there we go.
Oh, he even gets to color screw him, right? Takes the only red source.
He does.
God, Grip of Desolation, so good.
It is amazing, but this is going to get tricky now because Paulo still doesn't have, he can't back it up at the moment, right? Like, boom, there we go, another land off the top for Shaun.
Well, finally the 5th land, except that it only gets him to 4.
Yeah, but he's got a lot of time here.
He does.
Paulo's just not able to capitalize at the moment on what was a really nice sequence for him there. Wiping the ward away with Radiant Flames, he gets another 2-for-1 here with Grip, Desolation.
I mean, at some level, Paulo's just lucky to be alive. Right, he swept the board with a rare. He blew up 2-for-1 with a great uncommon.
I mean, he did pick those for a reason.
I know. I'm just saying that it took some very powerful plays just to still be alive.
All right, now this is interesting. That's Ondu Rising, and he's able to play the Awaken cost. Now that is going to change the race math significantly.
Oh my!
Here. Paulo is going to jump to 12 if he attacks with everything. And he's going to jump to 11 life here, though.
Yep.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Now the turn against has basically fallen away as a potential just immediate win condition. It's still good, but that plan is gone.
Well, I mean, he may have to go back to the instant speed. Like, Shaun's now going to be trying to set up a 2-for-1 with it if he can pull it off mid-combat on Paulo's side.
Yeah, it'll still be good for him. Broodhunter Worm there. For Paulo, a nice 4/3 to add to the board, and I got to say that matches up very well against what Shaun McLaren's doing. Molten Nursery, that just feels like not great here.
Yeah, it's late.
So late. This is, of course, the downside to a card like Molten Nursery. We've seen that it has plenty of upside, so I think we're going to see it in decks, but it is not the perfect card. There's another Grave Birthing for Paulo, kind of just churning through his library.
Wow, Paulo's going to win this game, isn't he?
He is. I think he just drew a Bane of Balaged, too.
He was so dead.
He was so dead. But, Shaun McLaren missing a couple of land drops, the big play with the Radiant Flames. But honestly, Ondu Rising is what got Paulo out of range of, many. Like, Molten Nursery would have been a big deal if not for the Ondu Rising. And there's that Bane of Balaked. Yikes. If that thing gets to turn sideways, the game's over.
Well, wait. If Shaun draws a land, Bane of Balaked, is that enough?
To kill... I mean,
it's close.
I think he just sacks 2 lands and chump blocks it. Because he still has something there, right?
Yeah, he winds up with the Mind Raker. The
Mind Raker's just sitting there. Yeah, and that does it. Wow, Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa falls way behind, down to 4 in the early stages, looking way behind, and he ends up finding the victory to take game 1 against Shaun McLaren. We'll be back right after these messages. Outfit your Magic collection with the newest Battle for Zendikar accessories from Ultra Pro. You can see the full array of card sleeves, deck boxes, playmats, and portfolios in your favorite Magic artwork at ultrapro.com. Qualify for the next Pro Tour on Magic Online. Go 5-0 or 4-1 in one of 10 preliminaries to advance to the finals. You can see the full schedule at mtgo.com. And welcome back to the feature match area here in Milwaukee. Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar is underway. We're in the second round. And, we kind of got the shuffle cam going here, Randy. This happens occasionally.
Yeah, I heard an update in my ear that I was kind of expecting I would hear later in the day, which is Brad Nelson wins a game with Dragon Master Outcast. I thought that would happen in Standard, but it happened here in Booster Draft.
Right.
Got game 1 from Zvi Malshowitz.
Yeah, he'll take it. We're actually going to be checking in on Sam Black versus Jacob Wilson there once they're all ready to go.
I hope our kit includes enough dragon tokens for all the Dragon Master Outcasts we may see.
You anticipating a lot of that card in Standard?
I think it's, I actually am. I think that it suits those sort of like the Jeskai decks, the dark Jeskais, that they've got this nice curve of Mantis Riders and Crackling Dooms. The thing is, Dragon Master Outcast is both like a way to win those grindy matchups when you get to 6, and it comes back with Ojutai's Command.
Oh, yeah.
Like Ojutai's Command to get Dragon Master Outcast out of the graveyard into play just
got
sounds
shiver
sweet.
On end step.
I mean, Jace is normally the better play, but yeah, having that, it's not like they're going to play 4 Dragon Master Outcast, but it's going to be a thing. And like when that happens, it's just going to spit out dragons and win games.
Now, what about for draft here? You open up a Dragon Master Outcast. How likely are you just taking it?
Likely. I mean, it's great. I mean, I don't know if I would take it over Grip of Desolation, but yeah. I mean, I'm going to take it over all but the best uncommons and rares.
Yeah,
there's no common I would take over it.
No. Very powerful card. Nice little shot of the feature match area here, as you can see. Shaun McLaren double checking. Did I sideboard everything I wanted to sideboard here?
Yeah, back table's got Jacob Wilson and Sam Black on it. I think Jacob's up a game there.
Yeah, we're going to live look in on that one if they get running. But we're going to, of course, keep an eye on our main table down there.
Oh, did Yol already win? King of the Hill table's empty, isn't it?
I saw them picking their stuff up.
Yeah, well, I'd heard that he won the first game. I didn't realize he already won the second game. That was fast.
Oh.
So, yeah, defending Pro Tour champion hanging out in the feature match area for a while.
Not that long.
Well,
he was
he'll be back
for
next
about
round.
4 minutes, yeah.
Holding his claim to the King of the Hill table.
Indeed. Wow, that was fast.
Yeah.
I mean, they were standing up when our game 1 was finishing on the main match. That was quick.
Jacob Wilson on that back table against Sam, actually unaffiliated with a team for this Pro Tour. He'd been testing with Pantheon for the last couple, but really wanted to focus on university and didn't spend as much time sort of sequestered in a testing house as he's used to.
All right, well, let's check in on the match that is underway here. That's Zvi Malshowitz versus Brad Nelson. As you mentioned, Randy, Brad picked up game 1 already with the Dragon Master Outcast here in Limited. And it looks like he's got some Oran Reef beatdowns happening here. And a Call of the Scions as well.
Zvi looks like he's got a 3-color ally deck mostly. Ally Encampment and Cinderglade for fixing. Black, green, white.
I like that combo. I drafted that last night, actually.
3 copies of Calastria Healer. That's the key. Like Allies at first looks like it's a Naya colored strategy, but Calastria Healer is probably the best ally at common in the set. So you want to pick those up, especially in multiples, and just get those drains for 1 really add up.
Nice little sequence there for both players, actually. Svi got the Orn Reef Invoker off the battlefield with a Lithomancer's focus after a block, but the follow-up play for Nelson was nice. Brood Monitor.
Actually, you know what else V has to combo with those Calastria Healers?
What's that?
2 copies of Serene Steward.
Oh, wow, that's great. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and then a bunch of gold cards. Veteran War Leader, Grove Tender Druid, Drana Emissary, Catacomb Sifter, Brood Butcher. Cool deck.
Tajuru Stalwart's a follow-up play, but you know what? We're underway on our main match,
Yeah,
so why
let's
don't
go back.
we jump over on that one and keep an eye how things are progressing for these players. I see that, I believe that's a blister pod in play there for Paulo. Yeah, confirmed. Not doing much here. Goes like Sentinel, holding it back and not really going to be able to block it effectively either. There's a Fertile Thicket, though, for Paulo. And that's a nice little card. He's going to put a forest on top of his library for him here and keep the land drops flowing. I would have expected that we would see a different color, as he's already got 2 green sources, but maybe he just didn't find one.
You don't get to look at that many cards.
Paulo's actually considering a chump block here with Blister Pod to get him some more mana.
I mean, a chump block. It's an upgrade.
It is an
He
upgrade.
wants to upgrade it into a Scion token.
Yeah, and then I think what he wants to do is play that forest, and he's got a Brood Hunter Worm in his hand, and that would effectively, put him ahead on board. But he does have to give up a chump block with the Blister Pod in order to do it. Yeah, he's just going to take it. It's only 1 damage.
Shaun's
There's a
hand
forest.
looks great, except for 1 flaw.
The all-spell hand usually does look
Exactly.
nice.
Not only is he stuck on 2 lands, but they're both red. He needs a swamp to turn his hand on.
All right. Speaking of swamps, I think that Paulo's going to pick up one here off of Seek the Wilds. He's got a Blighted Woodland to sort of power himself into the late game, as we saw in the other one. It fixes his mana. It also ramps him by a land drop as well. Chip it in there with the Blister Pod, playing a swamp, and shipping the turn back. Non-land off the top for Shaun McLaren. And, the good news for Shaun is that Paulo's deck is quite slow. It's not like it's just going to, shut the door on him before he gets to play anything. He will have some time. But the bad news is that he's falling woefully behind as Paulo's able to craft his hand, his mana, and kind of get things moving in his direction. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play a Brood Hunter Worm here and just kind of take control of this board. There it is. All right, tick-tock. And there is a land off the top for Shaun. Unfortunately, it is a mountain, so he's going to be limited to only red cards. Well, there we go. Let's just shore up this board with the Vile Aggregate. God, that card's good. 5 toughness on that 3-drop is going to hold back the worm, and it's almost big enough to eat it. It's already got 2 power. Are we going to see Blighted Woodland go again for Paulo, or does he have plays? Go. Phew, look at his hand. Look at Paulo's hand. Quarantine Field. He has currently no white mana, but he can change that. You can go get him. See multiple black cards in hand for McLaren, who misses another land drop here. This is no fun for McLaren fans.
Coastal X Channeler's back in his hand again. He's had that in his hand for every turn of the match.
Yes.
And not yet been able to cast it.
So Paulo's probably going to have to just go get plains here, even though he really would like to see a mountain and a swamp, or, I feel like he's going to start pushing towards just getting that Quarantine Field in and just shutting the door on this game. It is going to limit what he can cast a little bit later by not being able to get black and red mana here. Did he? Yeah, he did go get plains. Yeah. So it makes sense, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Quarantine Field just take out both of these creatures and start getting in there. No, looks like he's doing something else. What has he got? He's got Grave Birthing. And he's going to be patient here. He can build up and get even a full 3-for-1 off of Quarantine Field here. There is a land, but unfortunately it's a tap land. It's a Looming Spires off the top there for Shaun. It is going to be so tough for Shaun to win. Even if he draws lands, looks like he's pretty stuck at just casting a spell a turn here. Yeah, it's going to get in for 3. It also has Ingest, in case that matters.
Ingest.
Yeah, this is where things could start to get interesting. Processor Assault or something along those lines can do some work here.
15. Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't have Trample, I bet Paulo would have chumped with Blister Pod, right?
I think
you
you're
never
right.
know. Like, the first time your opponent hits you with an Ingest creature, you've no idea how many different things in their deck you're turning on by taking that hit. So it's nice to avoid getting hit by an Ingest if you can, and Blister Pod could have turned into a Scion, but the Trample word messes up any plans along those lines.
Oh, Oblivion Sower now, Paulo?
Yeah.
Really, buddy? All right. What do you want to bet? These are just all lands. All right,
It's
well,
that
2
one
of
too,
them
right?
were.
Yeah.
So he's just going to get these 2. He says, you wanted to hit land drops? Well, I'll hit your own land drops for you. Thank you. Arcana Assassin is the follow-up play. But at this point, Paulo's just setting up for a devastating turn where he fires off that Quarantine Field, gets a 3-for-1, and probably just wins on the spot. Paulo kind of patiently biding his time, and I think he's going to go for it here. This is going to be gross, Randy. Don't. God, that's disgusting. And Shaun can only say, yep.
Doesn't hurt quite as
Team.
much when the game wasn't even close, I guess.
That's 13. That's going to bring Shaun down to 1 and leave him with no reasonable draws to get himself out in the whole set. And
Wow.
the hand gets extended, and Paulo says, yeah, you gave my slow, very powerful deck a little too much time with missing all those land drops. And Quarantine Field kind of cleans up the mess, and that was going to do it. So Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa wins 2-0 over Shaun McLaren, leaving us with 2 matches still going.
Yeah, Zvi did win that second game, so Zvi has forced a game 3 against Brad Nelson.
And this is Sam Black on the left, and you mentioned it a minute ago, Randy, that's Jacob Wilson on the right, taking a little break from his studies.
Both players are among the top 10 ranked players in the world right now. This is what, 7 versus 8? 6 versus 7.
Looks like we come into the match with Jacob Wilson having won game 1. That's going to be outnumbered to take down an Eldrazi Sky Spawner and get a Mist Intruder in for Sam Black, who's trying to set something up. He is, well, he's all the colors of Devoid. And there's a spawning bed for Sam as well. It's been a nice little addition. Give Sam something to do with all that mana he's got. Way more than his opponent. And this is an interesting play here. Boom. Big crunches here from Jacob Wilson, who played Clutch of Currents, and it's just piling up counters on that Plains. It's at 7-7 now. Oh, I'm sorry. It was not a spawning bed. I missaw it. It was actually just an Evolving Wilds.
Yeah, it's less exciting.
That is a lot less exciting from Sam Black's perspective.
Although his
think
deck
Sam
is
would have
legitimately
preferred.
3 colors, so he's happy to have it, I'm sure. 5 island, 6 swamp, 7 mountain.
Wow, really? Right down the middle, huh?
5, 6, 7.
Huh.
Yeah, he's got, a little bit of all the Devoid stuff. Also, Drana, the Liberator of Malakir.
All right, here's Touch of the Void, but Sam is completely out of gas. He drew a land for this turn, Randy, and it is not looking good for Sam. He is taking 7 damage here and dropping down to 4.
Crunch.
Ouch. And he's got a draw step to go here. And now there's even more pressure. Shadow Glider, and it's another land, and Sam just can't do anything here, finding land after land after land. Look at Jacob Wilson. He's got 5 lands.
One of which is 7/7.
Yeah. Sam has like 10.
There you
And
go.
that's going to do it. Merc Strider says, I'm winning this turn right now. And Sam says, yep, you got me. And not much Sam could do there. He just drew too many lands. And Jacob Wilson's going to take the match 2-0 from him. You can see our camera crew eagerly moving over to catch our last match in the feature match area. This is Svi Moshwitz versus Brad Nelson.
Pretty quick start for Zvi.
Jeez.
It's turn 3.
Looks like he's got a cliffside lookout there on turn 1. And now he's kind of doing the ally thing. He's even got all of his colors now, too.
11.
Down to 11, take 4.
Jeez.
Wait, was
Woodland
that what I thought it
Bellower.
was? Is it a Woodland Wanderer?
Wanderer, yes.
Oh, man.
5/5, Vigilance, Trample.
It's not even an ally, though. I mean,
Whatever. He's got quite the streak going in Limited, by the way. He was 6-0 in Limited at the last Pro Tour. Is it an Element ally? Yes, V has won 7 Pro Tour draft matches in a row, and looking at number 8, this is a guy who got into the Hall of Fame largely on his reputation as a deck builder and a constructed player.
limited specialist Svi Moshwitz.
He
Has
could
a
be
nice
the limited
ring to it.
master.
Yeah.
I mean, he wishes they could have that 6-0 be this season. I mean, it's kind of split across 2 seasons, the run he's on right now. But
Yeah, maybe he'll just do it here.
a run's a run.
I feel like Svi is the type of person that could be a master at what he decided he wanted to be a master at, and maybe he's just focused on draft.
Yep.
All right, an eyeless watcher is going to give a little bit of a board state here for Nelson, but yikes. Woodland Wanderer ready to rumble. He's got the ally thing going with the Colostria healer there. This is not looking good for Brad Nelson. And this is going to be a...
First strike, send it to you.
Oh, God. That was a war caller. He's going to get all these triggers on, and he's getting a little ahead of himself there, but to Drew, a war caller is going to give everything +2/+2, plus he gets the triggers from his allies already on the battlefield. And remember, this is all of his creatures. They don't, Rally doesn't care here, you know, like the Woodland Wanderer is going to get +2/+2. Everybody gets +2/+2.
Yeah, and the Warcaller is exactly what you want at the top of your curve in your ally
This
deck.
is absurd, Randy. This is gross. Because he's also got a core Blade Whirl there that's giving them all first strike.
Uh-huh.
And he's getting the healer action going. It's just crazy.
And the Elemental Tramples, naturally.
Yep.
Brad has what, an outnumber or something? He's thinking about responding with?
He better.
Is that even enough? Yeah, it is an outnumber.
He can't even figure out which one to
something.
kill.
Kills the healer.
Comes in.
So that was with the Warcaller on the stack. Now it comes in.
Sure. So there's
Trigger,
no
trigger, trigger. Or I should just say trigger,
But not
trigger.
the drain trigger, yeah.
That's right. But +2/+2 to everybody.
And then it hangs out. And future allies also give +2/+2 to everybody.
Yeah, the first one usually puts you in a great position to win the game, and the second one shuts the door on it. And if you've built out a board, the first one can just win you the game
I was
on
going
the
to say,
spot, too.
what if your board went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's on turn 5 your 5th creature?
Oh, that's exactly what he did, isn't it?
Yes. And the 4-drop was,
That is so good.
yeah.
Svi Moshwitz showing us how it's done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see them all there. One ended up in the yard, but holy smokes. What a beating.
Yeah, I thought you told me people didn't curve out in this format.
They don't. I haven't had anybody do that to me. Might not play the format anymore if somebody did that to me. All right, Brad, show us something. Ooh, there's a second white mana source. Dragon Master Outcast.
Okay.
And he's got Call to Scions for chump blocks, but he
Wow.
needs a lot of them. Because he needs to put at least 2 on the Woodland Wanderer. Oh,
Yeah, the
no.
Wanderer tramples.
Now what? I can't see it. What did he play?
It's an ally, of course.
It's the Colostria Night Watch, which is an ally and is going to trigger the Tajuru Warcaller, and there are not going to be blocks here. He's dead there.
If he had a removal spell for the Wanderer, he'd be in the game.
He's got something.
Oh, he does? He has Smite the Monstrous.
Okay, so he's going to go Chump Chump Smite. Chump 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 Smite, I should say.
But now he's got
Okay.
Dragon Master Outcast online.
Okay, he's still at 4. He's going to need something.
Yeah, Dragon.
This has to be good.
Yep.
It's a fortified rampart.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
I mean, the dragon blocks pretty well.
It blocks great. Oh my God.
How is Brad Nelson still alive?
Brad is still alive?
Everyone's
His
very
V's not done.
first strikes, and everyone attacks.
What is Brad supposed to do here? It's a Tajuru Beastmaster completing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6 curve for Sweet
And Brad's
Moshowitz.
just shaking his head.
How is he supposed to deal with this? He almost survived.
Does the Outcast have to jump here? Is that the world we live in? Oh, such a sad
He's
Outcast.
just dead.
You're just
He's just dead.
Yeah.
He's taking
It's
lethal
like,
either way.
I've done the math. You're just dead.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh my God. I can't believe that Brad almost survived that.
Yeah. Brad played it great.
He did. He beautifully played that. Wow, that was insane. But Sweet Moshowitz does, in fact, take the match down off of one of the best curve outs I've ever seen in the feature match area, period, let alone in this format. That was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6 for those counting at home.
Yes, it
And,
was.
That was unbelievable. That's the stuff of dreams for limited players right there, getting that full curve out, especially with the synergies that he put into play there.
Yeah, most of them were
Unbelievable.
allies.
Yeah, most of them were allies.
You
and
either had
some
to
of
be
the
an
best
ally
ones.
or a rare to make the cut.
Yeah, it did. You needed it at a very high threshold. So fantastic stuff from Svi. And I got to say, Brad was very close to
Yeah,
getting
he
that
almost
thing
came back
turned.
and stabilized.
Yeah.
Take out any one of those cards, and Brad would have actually been right in it.
Yeah, unbelievable. All right, that's going to do it for round 2 from the booth. Let's send it over to the news desk and Richard Hagan.
All right, thanks very much to Marshall and Randy in the booth there. Dragon Master outcast, as it turned out. Just great game of Magic there. One more round of Limited coming away. That's round 3. At lunchtime, after round 3, don't forget, we'll have the Hall of Fame ceremony. You'll see Willie Adel, Shota Yasuoka, and Eric Froelich inducted into the Pro Tour Hall of Fame. And I can tell you that each in their own way have a very special speech. 3 very different perspectives on the game, and really, really great stuff. So hope you'll be with us for lunchtime. Then, of course, it's into standard 5 rounds through the afternoon. All the 75 card action you can handle here in New Standard. All right, so some results to bring you. At our feature table, Oliver Polak-Rotman of Austria goes to 2-0 at the expense of Hall of Famer William Jensen, who we saw draft first thing this morning. Martin Muller is underway with a win over Tom Martell. So Jorge Guerra and Mark Tobias, they're still going at it. You've seen Jacob Wilson in the feature match area defeat Sam Black. Sam Hardy, who has 5 Grand Prix top 8s in 2015. He's having a terrific calendar year and now early 2015-2016 season. He's underway with his first win, putting Vidianto Wijaya of the United States to 0-2. Other winners in the feature match area, we've seen Paulo Vitor Damo Da Rosa over Shaun McLaren. Yoel Larson remains King of the Hill. Someone sent me an email saying, Rich, what exactly is King of the Hill? So the deal is, basically, the previous Pro Tour champion starts as King of the Hill, and whoever wins that match in round 1 stays on. We would say in England, winner stays on. So that table right now belongs to Yoel Larson. He's gone 2-0. He will play there again in round 3, and if he gets beaten, that will take over the King of the Hill. So that's where we are there. So coming up in just a minute, we have a draft viewer with Tom Martell. But first, BDM was on the floor interviewing a gentleman by the name of Steve Hatto from Luxembourg. Now, you may be thinking, it's got to be great going to a new city and you play test with all your friends. Well, yes, it is great. But how do you actually find tables, space, quiet, all the things you really need for great play testing? Let's find out with BDM.
I'm here with 4-time Luxembourg national champion Steve Hotto. Steve, your team for this event is called Take Me to Church. Is that because you love that song, or is there a better reason for the team name?
Not at all. I think most of my team hasn't been to church for a while. Well, that means until this week. When we arrived in Milwaukee, we found out that they didn't want to have us at the room that was actually predicted for that in the hotel. So we had to look for alternatives, which was pretty hard. All we found was like rooms at $500 or no rooms. After like 3 or 4 hours of wasting time running around, we took a last resort and went to church, asking if they would have a spare room, which they did. And so we donated like some amount of money to the church in order to...
Some amount less than $500?
Yeah, but more than you might think. But it was for a good cause, so I can go with that. And we used the last days to test there. The people there were pretty cozy and very social engaged, like feeding those in need. And we even ate with them. So it was the full experience. I think I've seen some of the worst in the US, but also some of the most amazing things you're doing here.
That's awesome. And how do you feel like your team testing went? You guys feel really good about this format? How did everybody's drafts go?
Well, most of our guys figured it out pretty quickly, except for me. But I haven't been punished so far. I'm 1-0 in the first draft. More luck than skill. That helps as well.
All right, Stephen Hotto, good luck. You have some mighty forces at your side for this tournament. Thanks a lot.